Okay, so you want to own a Range Rover. You have already imagined it. The aluminum door closing with that bank vault thunk, the command seating position that floats your eye line above the traffic, the badge that translates cleanly in London, Dubai, and Beverly Hills. It is the only status symbol on Earth that works in a muddy field and a valet line. Same car, same silhouette. Now hold that image next to this one. You, on your driveway at 7:40 on a Tuesday morning, watching the left rear corner of your $115,000 machine sag toward the concrete like a tired animal, because the air suspension compressor died in the night and the repair quote is $1,130. Both of these are Range Rover ownership. Only one of them is in the brochure. The sticker on a 2026 Range Rover SE says $115,450. Edmunds puts the true 5-year cost of owning that same vehicle at $149,293, and the one you actually dream about, the SV, vaporizes $51,896 of its value in the first 12 months alone. So here is the question this story exists to answer. Who actually makes money on a Range Rover? Because somebody does, quite a lot of it, every single year. And the answer has almost nothing to do with selling you the car. Start with what is actually for sale, because a Range Rover is 3 different financial decisions wearing the same badge. Door number 1 is new, the L460 generation, on sale since 2022. It opens at $115,450 for an SE with the destination fee included, climbs to $161,350 for an autobiography, and tops out at $263.50 for the long wheelbase SV Black, 606 horsepower, and a cabin arranged like a first-class lounge, per Cars.com's 2026 pricing guide. The engine menu matters less than you think. A P400 mild hybrid inline-6 or the P530 V8, because both drink premium fuel and both depreciate in the same language. The 7-seat long wheelbase SE starts at $122,850 for buyers who want to disappoint more passengers at once. Door number 2 is the 3-year-old car. A 2023 L460 averages $89,821 across more than 1,300 listings on Car Gurus. Someone else paid the first invoice. You inherit everything that comes after it. And then there is door number 3, the trapdoor. The previous generation, the L405, a 2016 Range Rover that's stickered somewhere between $86,845 and $200,490 when it was new, now trades, per Kelley Blue Book, at $15,700 to $27,000. Read that again, $15,700 for the flagship of British luxury. A flagship that cost as much as a house deposit now sells for the price of a used Camry. The market is not stupid. When a luxury machine gets this cheap, this fast, the market is telling you what it expects the ownership experience to cost. There is always a reason. This story follows door number 1, the $115,450 SE, the rational choice, the one the salesperson calls the smart spec, because if the math fails on the sensible version, it fails everywhere. That trap door gets opened later, briefly, with gloves on. The price of entry is not the price on the configurator. That $115,450 already contains a $250 destination charge, the fee for the boat ride from Solihull, but the state has not been paid yet. Edmunds' 5-year cost data puts taxes and fees at somewhere between $8,286 on the SE and $17,231 on a long wheelbase SV. Then comes the real machinery, the loan. Almost nobody wires cash for a Range Rover. According to Experian's State of the Automotive Finance Market for the first quarter of 2026, the average new car loan runs at 6.39%, and that is the average borrower buying the average car. Put 10% down on the SE, finance the rest over 6 years at that rate, and the payment lands somewhere between $1,700 and $1,800 a month. For scale, the average American new car payment is $770. You are volunteering for more than double the national number, before fuel, before insurance, before the first service visit. Lease instead, and you will meet the money factor, the lease industry's way of writing an interest rate so it does not look like one. Multiply it by 2,400, and you get the APR nobody said out loud. And either way, on delivery day, someone in a small office next to the showroom will offer you gap insurance, coverage for the difference between what you owe and what the car is actually worth, a product that exists because on this vehicle that difference appears within weeks, not years. That small office, by the way, is where this entire story eventually leads, which we'll get to later, because that's where a huge amount of the real money hides. For now, sign here. The monthly payment is not the price. The monthly payment is the subscription. Now meet the silent partner. Depreciation does not send an invoice. It does not call ahead. It simply takes its cut every single morning before you wake up, whether you drove the car or not. And on this machine, the partner is greedy. iSeeCars depreciation study published in March 2026, built on more than 950,000 five-year-old vehicles sold over the previous 12 months, found that the Range Rover loses 61.7% of its value in 5 years. In dollars, $69,856. The average vehicle loses 41.8%. Not a few points worse than average. 20 points worse. For calibration, the average vehicle in that study gave up $16,571 over 5 years. The Range Rover gave up $69,856. Same roads, same calendar, a $53,000 difference in what the market handed back. The first year is the steepest part of the cliff. Edmunds shows the sensible SE surrendering $19,459 in year 1, about $53 a day, while the SV gives up $51,896, which is $140 a day, for the privilege of the new leather smell. By year 5, Kelley Blue Book projects the SE's resale at $37,094, roughly 34 cents on the dollar. CarEdge, the pessimist in the room, models the 5-year loss at 74%. So the honest range is this: somewhere between 62 and 74 cents of every dollar you put in, gone. This is what residual value means, the fraction of the purchase price the market lets you keep, and the Range Rover's residual is among the worst of any vehicle sold in America. It is a family condition. The same iSeeCars study puts the Range Rover Sport at 58.3% lost and the Discovery at 57.9%, and notes that 18 of the 25 fastest depreciating models on sale are luxury vehicles. Buy the 3-year-old car, and the curve works for you. Briefly, the average 2023 already trades $25,629 below the cheapest new one sticker, but the slope does not flatten out of courtesy. It just starts you on a lower ledge. The real price of this machine is the difference between two numbers, the one you pay and the one you sell for. You control neither. Then there is the cost of simply keeping it alive. RepairPal puts the Range Rover's average annual repair and maintenance bill at $1,258, with a reliability score of 2.0 out of 5, and the brand behind it ranks 31st out of 32, averaging $1,174 a year, against an industry norm of $652. Double the average car, and that is the routine year. RepairPal also notes a 19% chance that any given repair is severe, which is the statistical way of saying the routine year has a temper. Insurance adds its share. Insurify's data has full coverage on a Range Rover at $242 a month, $2,904 a year, roughly 24% above the national average. The V8 returns 18 miles per gallon combined, on premium, which Edmunds translates to about $288 a month in fuel. Call it $3,456 a year. And because everyone who studies this vehicle eventually arrives at the same nervous conclusion, there is a thriving market in insuring the car against itself. An extended service contract runs somewhere between $900 a year from the factory program and $3,000 endurance, according to Consumer Affairs published quotes. Fear, it turns out, has a sticker price too. And those quotes were pulled on the smaller valet, the full-size car, with more air springs, more motors, and more screens to fail, generally prices higher still. Stack it all up and the annual carrying cost, before the loan payment, before anything actually breaks, sits somewhere between $7,600 and $10,600, which is how Edmunds arrives at its 5-year total for the sensible SE, $49,293. For the SV long wheelbase, $277,641. Sit with that second number. The true cost of one SV is roughly one SV plus one entire additional Range Rover SE that you never receive. And all of this assumes the machine behaves. Here's the trap. It frequently does not. The Range Rover rides on EAS, electronic air suspension, 4 rubber springs inflated by a compressor, which is why it glides like a yacht, and why, eventually, it kneels like a camel. When the compressor dies, RepairPal prices the replacement at $1,879 to $1,930. The previous generation's 5.0 supercharged V8 hides a nastier surprise: timing chains that stretch and rattle on cold start, a job that specialist JLR shops price somewhere between $3,300 and $5,500. And if the chain skips a tooth before you act on the noise, you are no longer shopping for chains, you are shopping for an engine. The new generation was supposed to fix all of this. In its first year on sale, the 2023 model accumulated 10 separate U.S. recalls in NHTSA's records: a failing DC-DC converter, water inside the rearview camera, a turbocharger oil drain gasket that was simply never installed at the factory. 10 recalls. Year 1. The scoreboards agree with the anecdotes. In J.D. Power's 2023 Vehicle Dependability Study, Land Rover finished dead last among every brand measured, 273 problems per 100 vehicles, against an industry average of 186. That metric is called PP100. Count the problems reported per 100 3-year-old cars, and score it like golf, because lower is better. By the 2026 study, Land Rover had improved all the way to third from the bottom. Consumer Reports' 2026 brand report card seats the brand in the bottom 5 overall, and dead last, out of every brand sold in America, for maintenance and repair costs. A strange trophy for a company whose cheapest full-size product costs 6 figures. Owner forums supply the color the studies cannot. Pivi Pro screens freezing mid-drive, software patches chasing the patches before them. In fairness, CarEdge models 10-year maintenance at $19,749, better than its luxury SUV segment average, which mostly proves that the experts cannot agree on how bad this actually is. The spread between their answers is a risk premium. You are the one carrying it. So the aspirational brain does what it always does. It tries to make the machine pay rent, put it on Turo. The listings look seductive. Range Rovers currently rent for somewhere between $173 a day in Dallas and $480 a day in San Jose, with Miami in the middle at $261. Hosts keep somewhere between 60 and 90% of the trip price depending on which protection plan they choose, so 15 rental days a month at the Miami rate, on the popular 80% plan, grosses about $3,100. It smells like a business. Now bring back the silent partner. The sensible SE sheds $19,459 in its first year, $1,621 a month, before a single renter touches the door handle. Add the commercial wear, the tires, the detailing between trips, and a damage deductible that runs up to $2,500 per incident on the cheapest plan, and the margin thins into a rumor. Turo's own top earners page is the tell. The best returns on the entire platform belong to a Fiat 500, 178.2% annual return on investment, while the Range Rover appears only inside a vague, top 10 upscale vehicles mention with no number attached. When a platform's marketing department goes quiet about your specific car, listen to the silence. The rental math on a fast-depreciating flagship is a treadmill dressed as a business plan. The days it rents pay for the days it sits, and the days it sits still cost $53 each. Which leaves the other escape hatch: appreciation. A few machines really do climb. Air-cooled Porsches, dead-stock classics, metal where the supply is locked forever while desire compounds. That is not this. Land Rover sold 24,863 Range Rovers in America last year, a record, and the used market absorbs them at 61.7% off. Scarcity is the engine of appreciation, and this machine is not scarce, it is inventory. So the honest verdict: a Range Rover can absolutely generate income, just not for you. Which brings the story back to the question from the beginning. If the owner is bleeding from 4 places at once, who is on the other side of the table, catching? Start at the showroom, and notice the answer is not really the showroom. Front-end margins on new metal have been compressing for years. The first real answer is that small office you were promised earlier, F&I, finance and insurance, known in dealer slang as the box. According to Hague Partners' 2025 report, the average dealership now clears $2,501 of gross profit per vehicle inside the box, a record high. And NADA's data shows 89.6% of new car buyers take at least one F&I product. The service contract, the gap policy, the wheel and tire plan. On a vehicle with Land Rover's repair reputation, these products practically sell themselves. Fear has a margin. The second answer is downstairs, in the service department. Dealers track a metric called absorption, the share of a store's entire overhead covered by the workshop alone, and luxury franchises routinely run 90 to 110%. The showroom is a billboard. The workshop pays the rent, one $1,258 average customer at a time, forever. The third answer is the lender, collecting 6.39% on new paper and 11.43% on used, per Experian, while harvesting the treadmill underneath. Edmunds reports that 29.3% of trade-ins now carry negative equity. You owe more than the car is worth, averaging $7. 214 of old debt rolled quietly into the next loan, at payments averaging $916 a month. Gap insurance, remember, exists precisely for these people. The box sells the cure for the disease the depreciation curve causes and collects at both ends of the transaction. And above all of them sits the factory. JLR's fiscal 2025 results: $29 billion in revenue, $2.5 billion in profit before tax, its best performance in a decade, with the Range Rover family and the Defender making up 67.8% of everything it ships. Every layer of the chain gets paid every single year. You get paid once, on the day you sell, and you already know what that number looks like. You thought you bought a car. The industry booked an annuity. Here's where it gets interesting. The only person with a documented, itemized, publicly audited win against this machine got it by renting out the risk. December 8, 2012. Doug DeMuro, years before Cars and Bids, back when he was a writer with a dangerous idea, buys a silver 2006 Range Rover, the previous generation but the same DNA, from CarMax. The car is not the story. The paperwork is $3,899 for a Max Care extended warranty, 6 years, 66,000 miles, bumper to bumper, $50 deductible. Then he simply drove it and published the receipts on Jalopnik. February 2013. Radiator and control arms, $1,383.24. October 2013. Tilt steering motor, $337.32. April 2014. The same motor, again, $785.19. June 2014. Air suspension and a transmission sleeve, $2,063.78. August 2014. The horn, $179.14. January 2015. The other air suspension corner, $1,399.36. By 33,000 miles, the tally read $6,498.03 across 8 repairs, 1 warranty claim every 128 days, like a season of a show nobody wanted renewed. By the end of 2015, $7,577.16. By April 2017, the warranty had paid out more than $15,000, more than the entire truck was worth by that point, against a $3,899 premium. The coverage expired on December 7, 2018, undefeated. Understand what actually happened there, because it is the closest thing this market has to a cheat code. He did not beat the Range Rover. Nobody beats the Range Rover. He found a counterparty, a warranty underwriter whose actuarial table had not caught up with this specific machine, and he sold it the downside. The warranty industry has since repriced that mistake. That door is closing. The machine, meanwhile, performed exactly to specification. It was so reliably unreliable that it turned an insurance product into an investment vehicle. So put all of it in one driveway, one owner. Dallas, a 2026 Range Rover SE, financed at the national averages. His good year looks like this: about $20 and $900 in loan payments, $2,904 in insurance, $3,456 in premium fuel, $1,258 in routine service. Call it $28,500 out of pocket, and nothing broke. That is the win condition. That is as good as this ever gets. Meanwhile, off the books, the silent partner collected his $19,459 in depreciation, the one cost that never rings the doorbell. Total damage in the best case, about $48,000 in a single year. Now the bad year, the same $28,500 base, plus the air suspension compressor at $1,930, plus one out-of-warranty electrical gremlin billed somewhere between $2,000 and $4,500, because on this platform something usually volunteers. The cash gap between his good year and his bad year runs somewhere between $4,000 and $6,500, and the partner collects his $19,459 either way, pushing the bad year toward $55,000. 2 ledgers, 1 machine. The brochure mentioned neither number, which returns you to that Tuesday, 7:40 in the morning, the left rear corner easing down toward the concrete. Except now you are a different person. You do not gasp. You nod, because line 11 of your spreadsheet predicted this and you budgeted for it, or you did not, and the tow truck driver already knows your street by name. The door still closes with that perfect vault thunk. The eye line is still regal. Every promise this machine made to your senses, it keeps. The ones it made to your accountant were never real. The Range Rover was never the asset. You were.